Hello. Get our jams in here. Hello, hello, hello. Let me know how the audio mixing is. Oh, mercy. Probably bring the audio up a little bit. Probably something like that will work, I think. Hello, hello, hello. Let me pop this sweet chat out so I can play, and there we go. Read the comments at the same time. There we go. Sound good. Oh, well, that's good. One thing I didn't mention in the video was that this actually starts you off in sort of the viewing mode here. So you can poke around and look at everything. Oh, I'm having trouble. I'm having trouble with this hill. It's so bizarre not having any of the Z jumps. Now, I mentioned this in the video where I sort of reviewed this, but like, I'm trying to do the long jump with a Z, right? So I'm trying to... Nope, nothing. You don't have that. You don't have... Try to duck. Do the backflip, don't have that. You just have like the side jumps. You have the triple jump. Which this controller isn't the most accurate, so sometimes it could actually be a little bit challenging to pull off a little bit, just because this is not the best controller, but it's certainly the most compatible controller I've used, so it's nice when I just don't want to, like, deal with it. Frost Texas saying the twirly Mario instead of the triple jump is still scary. Which is, I don't know, I wouldn't say it's necessarily scary, I don't think, but it's certainly, kind of strange. It certainly is a little strange looking. So much slip and slide. He's like practically on ice no matter what you do. I'm using a Tome, or Tomy controller. I actually have a USB to N64 adapter. So, like, you could put up your actual N64 controller, pop it in, and it worked for, like, a day. And then after that, Project 64 decided it didn't like it anymore. So it just, like, I got it working, it was great, and then it's just like, no, never again. So it's like I got this adapter for nothing. And it worked really well, and it was really responsive for, like, the hour that I played with it. But then it just stopped, and I have no idea why. So I've been using the Tome one. Can you wall jump up here? I know there's a way to do that. Can't remember how you're supposed to do that, though. Why is the floor so slippery? In the beta, it just was. It's a lot more slippery. a lot of people actually at SpaceWorld complained that it was a little hard to control Mario because there was so much slide. Which I don't know why the developers didn't think about that, but alas, they did not, and they released the demo with that slide in full effect. So, yeah, they had to make some adjustments later on. This is a different version. Brian Meyer says, I'm so excited. I'm making pea puddles all over my room, doing backflips through the pea puddles. So, fun fact, so John, one of my co-producers, when he first got his dog, sort of like a little terrier dachshund mix, and like she was very, very excitable. And also had some separation anxiety from something with the previous owners. I'm not exactly sure what happened. They don't really know what happened, but something something occurred where maybe she was left alone way too long, too often with the previous owners or something. Anyways, I remember meeting her for one of the first times, and we came back to his place, and she, keep in mind this is like a sort of a dachshund mix, so this thing's like long and small, like did a backflip, like was so excited, just started running and like did a backflip and peed in the air while doing the backflip. It's just like this long hot dog and urine just like just spiraling down. So anyways, your comment reminded me of that joyous day. Tony, if there were one thing you could change, what would it be? Change regarding what? This mod? In life? What do you mean, Montana Choate? I don't know. One thing about what? About the dog peeing? I don't know. Doke says, OMFG, it's Tony. Hi. Do you think it would ever be possible to have a recreation of Earthbound 64? I know it was only partly finished. So there's a project that I'm covering on the channel now that's an Earthbound 64 recreation, and I mean it's nowhere near complete. I mean there's not even like a chapter of it that's fully playable, but there are some areas, and the battle system is getting put together, and like there are like areas you can walk around in, which you know, I'd probably say that makes it about like 4% complete. Less than that maybe, but it's way more complete than anyone else has ever accomplished when it comes to Earthbound 64. So do I think we'll ever get one? Yeah, maybe. The challenge is like, with something like this, it's certainly not easy, but it's easier because there's like an engine, there's a final game, there's more footage of it, like the beta version, like there's just like more stuff to go off of. How much of Earthbound 64 is the community actually recovered? None of the code. None of it. All of it's been video and imagery and interviews. It's been years and I still can't get over the channel's naming Hard4Games, lols. Yeah, me too. Some mistakes you just have to live with, you know? Just gotta deal. All right. Let's do this. Everything's a little bit more difficult in this version. Just because of the slide. It's like so crazy. One thing that I didn't show in the video that I did was just how many times I died. Like, just over and over and over again. Come on. Come. Get up this. This is so bad. No! Oh dear. The name Hard4Games has some real college frat vibes. Well, I mean, you're not wrong. Once Earthbound 64 leaks, my soul will for sure rest in peace. God, you know what? I really hope it does. The thing that I'm worried about is there's just so many people, especially the crowd that gets their prototypes like rated and entombed by WADA, that never like ever see the light of day. Like they just buy them for the exact sole purpose of keeping them to themselves forever. And never releasing them. Like I feel like there's so many prototypes out there where the owners are just like, well, this is mine, and you'll just never know what they are, right? Because they're just totally oh god, totally kept to themselves. It's terrible. It sucks. It's just like these people are gonna like take these prototypes to the grave. And in many cases, they're probably not, like, overly interesting, like a 25,000th version of Turok 3 or whatever. But there's definitely some stuff out there that people have that they're just unwilling to dump, or they'll, like, show off, and they're just unwilling to dump it. It just sucks. I hate the notion that the dumping process of, or the dumping prototypes of devalues them. That was a comment. So yeah, so that's interesting. So let's take a second to talk about that. So Aurora says, I hate the notion that dumping prototypes devalues them. For a collector, there is absolutely... A collector can absolutely ask for a higher value, and do ask for higher values for stuff that's undumped, and it sucks. You know, and because of that, they'll not dump it because they want to, if they are actually intending to ever sell it, they'll want that bigger bang for the buck, because they don't think of it like a piece of history like we think of it, right? They think of it like, you know, like a stock or like an investment, right, of some sort. So it's like, oh, well, I found this, or I paid, like, you know, whatever for it. It's this, it's undumped, you know, therefore I can charge, like, triple the amount, quadruple the amount, or whatever. Or in a lot of cases, you know, like, they didn't even know what it is. It's just like a prototype, like a dev cart, and there could be nothing on it. So it's just like, oh, it's undumped, and I'm unwilling to boot it up because I'm unwilling to look and see whether or not there's anything on it, because if there is not something on it, that devalues it. And if there is something on it, then it is valuable, but I'd rather just roll that dice, you know, and not even look. Or they'll be like, oh, they will know what's on it and say that they don't, and that they don't have the hardware to boot it up, and then it's undumped to try to get a higher value. So I agree with you. Like, I totally hate that notion. Like, it sucks. But in all actuality, undumped stuff does hold a higher price tag, and I don't agree with it, but it does. I think we need to think of these things as pieces of history and not just a commodity to be had. And I mean, that's the thing, is that you can't, like, change everyone's mind on that. Is the problem. I wish we could, and I think we're getting better about it, and we're getting groups that will, like, crowdfund stuff and pay for things, and, like, some people who have these prototypes will be like, okay, well, maybe if you're willing to dump and release, I'll give you a break on the price or whatever. I don't know, but it sucks. It sucks. It's like finding dinosaur bones, yeah. Collectors should have an obligation to dump anything that hasn't been archived, says Vesti Voyage. I agree. I mean, I agree. I think that, like, ethically, they should. There's no, like, legal way you could ever require that. But I think, like, ethically and historically speaking, yes, absolutely.
That was a prototype of a game that never was released part of video game history. Isn't it more of a video game past? Because when it comes to video game history, I think of like Super Mario Brothers. Well, the history is the past, right? So whether or not we know about it doesn't mean that it didn't happen, right? There were still developers working on it. There were still people getting paid. There were still meetings happening, and there were still kickoff meetings in progress, this and that. And then it may also have been situations where we do know about it through, you know, magazines or what have you, or like video previews and stuff that would still, even if it wasn't released, still be part of video game history in a way, right? It's just not part of video game retail history, right? Not part of that particular part of history that made it to shelves, right? But just because you couldn't buy it at the store doesn't mean it didn't happen, right? Do you still have the Ultra 64 prototype controller? No, I really only had that in-house for like a month. And then I think I borrowed it one more time for another video. I think. But yeah, it was very brief. A lot of the stuff I don't own. I know, like, a lot of times when people watch videos, it's very much like kind of like skipping around and stuff. But normally, if I borrow something, I'll mention that I borrow it in the video. So a lot of people, but like, might not see that particular part and think I have like this crazy collection. When in reality, it's mostly it's mostly just borrowed stuff. Peter M says, "What's your background? I mean ethnicity. Mostly guinea pig, with a touch of golden hamster. The champagne of hamsters. Actually, don't let anyone ever tell you that. The champagne of hamsters is teddy bear hamster. The teddy bear hamsters have very long fur, and they are simply a delight. Although, for social aspects, dwarf hamsters are generally the most social. Is this a mod? Yes, this is a mod. Isn't that in the title? Yeah, Mario 64 beta mod. Yes, it is. Oh yeah, someone reminded me, yes, you can press R for a mini-map. Here we go. I hope you guys like crying. What an odd level. You know, obviously this was sort of compiled from screenshots and video and such. But it's just sort of like, there's like two things we do here. There's a slide, and then we return the penguin. And it's just like you know, in the retail version of the game, every little level is like a little, like, nugget of gameplay. You know, there's something to do kind of almost everywhere, you know, whether it's, you know, an enemy or this or that, or, you know, different platforming sections around or what have you. Whereas this is much more like, you know, just kind of a slower paced, like, not a lot of game for your buck kind of experience. Where's my penguin? Oh, oh no! I didn't realize that would happen. Alright. I gotta go over here. Where's the penguin? The regenerating health is certainly a thing here. Come on! Let's go! So there's a star over there, but we don't like that star. That's the star you get when you come out of the slide, which I don't care about right now. I want that sweet penguin star. Dokes, super chat, $2. Thank you so much. Hey, thanks for answering me in depth, Tony. No problem. Oh yeah, I just remembered I can't backflip. Give me this. Yeah, yeah, definitely it would in the retail version of the game. Like I remember talking about this in a video. Sleep paralysis gremlin. I will admit, if they refined the spin jump for Mario like the DS remake with Luigi, it could have been incredibly game-breaking. I think that's why they didn't include it. I remember doing a video and I showcased with Luigi, like, just breaking the game in terms of just, like, not like breaking the game, but, you know, like, basically you can get to areas that are not, you know, they don't really want you going into, you know. Chris Cube is here. In the previous demo they gave me like 2 years ago, and I can't believe it had been like 2 years. Blarg or Clarg, that little dinosaur lava guy was in it. I think they probably, for accuracy's sake, couldn't prove that he was in this particular demo, and it was just a beta character that didn't make it in anything, and probably removed it. Let's see if I can get directly under the star with the slide. Oh, that's not bad. Okay, that's not as bad as I thought. Joeco Fargo says, "What are your thoughts on the Metroid 64 fan made?" From what I recall, it was just like a couple of screens or like some very base gameplay. It looked cool. I remember there not being like a ton to it. Obviously, that not a ton to it probably took someone like a year to make. But as far as like gameplay goes, let me pour myself some more diet tonic water. Been really into tonic water lately, due to the malaria and all. Aaron Kasharsky's White Knight asks about Pico acquiring the rights to Quest 64-2. I don't think they get really far in Quest 64-2. I don't know if there would be anything there to get. I don't know. I'm not sure if that's true or not. I was planning on doing an interview with the owner of Pico at some point, but things got kind of busy. The original Super Mario 64 has 120 stars for 100% completion. How does this mod compare? They're about, like, 4 stars. Here, there's, like, there's, like, 5. There's 5 stars. Who voices Mario? I believe it's the same voice actor who did, like, Bugs Bunny. It's from a, like a, whatchamacallit, like just like a sound library that they took it from. Oh, happy birthday. Mel Blanc, yeah. Mel Brooks did it. Hang on, we need these deep jams, guys. Turn that up a little bit. What's up, fish? Can you hurt me? No, I don't think so. Just emotionally. Someone asks, just tonic water? Yeah, just tonic water. I'm going to a comedy show tomorrow, which will be like sort of like an open mic thing, so it could really go either way. But I'm planning on probably having a drink there, and then I'm hanging out with some friends Friday. So I don't want to like be, whoops, I'm really distracted talking to you guys. I don't want to be like drinking like every day. So I'm just drinking tonic water. Plus, I think I'm probably going to a brewery Saturday. And then I think I might be going to the brewery on Monday. Damn it. Okay, so I'm not going to drink tonight. But I have to not drink on Sunday. I'm trying to be healthy and like work out and eat healthy. But I have so many social obligations. Jesus Christ, bro, is an alcoholic. Well, you know, I'll probably have like a drink at the comedy club tomorrow. And then Friday might be, it depends on where we're going, I guess. When I go to breweries, though, like what I'll generally do is get like little tiny tasters. So like what I'll end up drinking is like a beer, like probably 2 beers worth, beer and a half, out of like little tiny cups. Little like 2-ounce pours, so I can drink a ton of beer types, but not a ton of beer quantity. Is generally my go-to. We'll do like beer tastings and stuff with the friends, and that's generally what we'll do. Is we'll have like kind of like shot glass sized cups of beer, so you can taste like, you know, 10 beers in a night or something like that, or more, depends how much time you have. But without like, you don't want to like drink that much because you like just die. like full size beers. Is this the Preservation Project or another mod? This is the Preservation Project. Comedy without drinks is much tougher. Yeah, well, I agree with that, Mr. Hat 144, Mr. Hat 144, because this is like an amateur night, so it could get really rough. Have I done all of these? Let's see here. What am I doing? I did that one. Did I do this one? I can't remember. Oh yeah, that's the Snow Mountain one. I guess I could go do Bowser. Alright. Like how fast, I don't know, I don't think it's like this in the retail version, but like Mario like falls asleep like real fast. And as he just tends to pass the F out. Like, real fast. So much slime. Come here. So slippery. There we go. No! He only takes one hit here. Oh yeah, so I guess there is like 2 stars per level, and there's like 4 levels, so there's like 8. So to answer the question from earlier, including this one, there's probably around 9 stars compared to like 120 in the retail version. Look at like how cartoony and strange the rooms are. Like very like brick, you know. Now this 1 star that I'm going after now is kind of a pain, but only because there's so much slip. Sorry, just make some adjustments here. Mario sounds like a grandma, yeah. He do. Oh no. This is the end. Oh yeah, so here's another thing. Like, there's nothing over here in the beta version. I'm like so scared of falling off the edge because it's so slippery. It's so bad. But yeah, like there's like a whole fully fleshed out world over here in the retail version. Not so much in the beta version. No elevator here, just poles. Let's see, where's my star? It's also placed in an area where you like can't move the camera to, which is really bizarre. Where is it? Oh, it's over there. So it was right over there, which is exactly why I couldn't see it, because you can't turn the camera easily over there. Okay, so let's see if I can jump to this without just like slip it. See how the camera moves here? It's always like out of view. I try to get it in view, and it like slips out of you. So you have to do like a blind jump here. Although I wonder if I could do like the triple jump and then spin my way to it. But it keeps changing. Okay, I'm just gonna do a regular jump and then hopefully I don't. Oh, that actually worked very well. Let's go explore. Was there another star in here? That went exceedingly well for a blind jump, I know. Especially because there's so much, like, slip in this version. I was like, shocked. Look at that, you could just see the iris and pupil of the eye over there. Body. Like, the texture is loaded, but the polygon's not. This is not going to end well. Let's try exploring that again. Do you believe in Super Mario FX? Some sort of pre-Mario 64 prototype on the SNES. No, I'm pretty sure that's been debunked. I think it's because the like Super FX chip was named like the Mario chip or had the name Mario on it or something like that. And like a rumor started that there was like a Super Mario FX. Like I'm sure there were probably some like test things they did where maybe they used Mario and the Super FX chip or something, or some 3D thing. I don't know. But like, you know, because obviously they're always going to be doing tests and such for like technical purposes, but I don't think there was ever any sort of 3D game. For Mario on the SNES. Seriously. If I get rid of these guys, I wonder if I get a star. Come here. Come here, you. So bad. That's so strange. I feel like these react a little different than... Like, you're... Not that I'm, like, amazing at Mario 64, but, like, your muscle memory gets, like, a certain way, you know? And then you can, like, kind of, like, just slip through the levels, and then suddenly, you know, something is done where it totally destroys your muscle memory. And it's, like, no longer valid anymore, and then it suddenly becomes, like, this weird thing, you know? So this is probably the one where I can get a star by knocking these guys off. Come on. Go. Come. There we go. There we go. See? Perfect. Super Mario FX already exists. It's called Super Mario RPG. Except, although Super Mario RPG did have a helper chip, it was not the FX chip. It was not the Super FX chip. So it would not technically be Super Mario FX. Alright, so let's see what star I missed in here. Do you think we will ever find a proto of Conker's 12 Tails? Yeah, well, I don't know. It exists. Unfortunately, I believe the person who owns it won't release it. So... good stuff. Favorite part of this mod experience so far? It just tickles you because it's like, you know, you see all of these things that you knew existed at one point in time, and you know, like a lot of thought process was put into trying to make it as accurate as possible. So in that way, you know, they could have just done the scenario. They could have just redone the textures. They could have just redone the HUD. You know, but like adding the mechanics and the scenario, the voice clips, like everything, you know, they did really makes it feel like a different game. Let's see here. Is there anything you legit think we will never get? I don't know. You know, there's been multiple Ocarina of Time carts that have popped up that are pre-release or debug and what have you. You know, there was the F0X cart that had all of the overdump data of, you know, Zelda when it was, you know, in like the 1997 era, you know, and then like Zell and his team was able to sort of recreate that and you know, take all of those amazing maps that were found and the script and the, you know, models and everything. But we never got like an actual early version. But there's been like hints of like an early version of it that we've got, like plus the debug stuff and whatever. So that was amazing. Like Earthbound 64, we legit have never found anything. Nothing. Granted, that's harder because it was never released and Zelda was. But even like the Giga Leak, like there was Mario 64 stuff. You know, there was, you know, information, like unused levels, Luigi, what have you. There was stuff there. But there's never been anything with Earthbound 64. So I hope it's not true, but I'm really thinking the future of Earthbound 64 preservation is translating interviews, scanning magazines, finding maybe additional promotional footage that maybe never left Japan and we've never seen in the West, like that kind of stuff, I think might be the future of Earthbound 64 preservation, to be honest with you. It sucks, but I think that kind of, it might be where we're at right now. Not that we should give up hope necessarily, but I kind of think that it will never happen. Other stuff that might not ever come out, like, I am aware of people that have 12 Tails builds. I've never personally seen them, but, you know, they've been sort of handcuffed to not release them, so to speak. So, like, the fact that those even exist gives me hope that we'll see stuff like that. But that, like, Rare has their own archives. So, yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say. It's hard to say, because you never think something will come out, and then it kind of does. So, I don't know. What I would love to see, kind of one of my holy grails that we'll probably never see, is apparently one of the original versions of Secret of Mana, Seiken Densetsu 2, was supposed to be on the SNES CD. And I would, you know, apparently they had to, like, really cut back when they brought it to cartridge. So I'd love to see a version of that on, like, the CD format and, like, hear the CD quality version of the soundtrack. I think that would be insane. So really, like, anything SNES CD-wise would be pretty interesting. PJ says, I'm pretty sure there's a prototype of Mother 3 on N64. Didn't Itoy post images of the game on his website when the game was canceled? Well, yeah, I mean, there's definitely is a prototype of Earthbound 64, but it doesn't belong to anyone that's willing to release it, is the problem. You gotta keep in mind that, you know, with stuff like Zelda 64, you know, prototypes were in like, more hands, you know, localization teams in Europe, in the US, you know, playtesters, like, you know, all over. Whereas with the Earthbound 64, it really just stayed in Japan. I think, like, there was a version that maybe Nintendo of America got to mess with, probably returned it when they were done, like that kind of thing. So it's like it didn't have the extreme scope that Earthbound 64 had. Here's a good question. Blunty Force 762. I'm curious why people are obsessed with Earthbound 64 when we have Mother 3. Mother 3, I think, is a great game. Based on what I understand between the story differences, though, I think I would have preferred the story of Earthbound 64. I think it may have ultimately been a better game. Whereas the Game Boy version, you could argue, is more of an evolved version of the story because it had more time to develop. Or it could have been a more pared down or compromised version of the story. I know the original one was a little bit more darker, like it would have had featured Flint more, but a lot of stuff is speculative, obviously. I think part of the reason why people are obsessed with Earthbound 64 is because they are so interested in what could have been, right? And what was promised but never was. So I think that there's a lot of interest in that respect. I mean, when you have individuals that are like at different point in their lives, you know, making a game, you know, it's interesting. You know, plus you had like a different studio doing, you know, it was like Brownie Brown doing the Game Boy Advance version. Like, I don't know. I know a lot of people prefer, or I can't say prefer because Earthbound 64 never came out, but you know, maybe prefer the style, the visual style of Mother 3 because it's reminiscent of Earthbound and Mother 1. For me, I don't know. I think it could have been really cool and something very different. That said, I enjoyed Mother 3 on the Game Boy Advance. I thought it was a good game. I'd like to play it again sometime. I've only played through it once. Yeah, Earthbound 64 definitely was visually grittier. It was like kind of like a darker game. The Retroing Gamer says, thanks for all you do. I've been watching you for years. Love the channel. You deserve way more subs. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. The Toys team wasn't experienced with 3D titles. I heard that was a rumor. Or maybe if they were experienced with 3D title, or if they weren't, it wasn't necessarily holding them back. Like, I think a lot of the footage that we see is really grainy, low quality stuff, and it looks kind of worse than it actually is. I don't know, like, some of the stuff that they created in terms of the models and environments were, like, actually, like, stunningly detailed. Maybe they were just doing it slower. I think also, like, a toy's story kept changing and scenario needed to be pared down so much that, like, they should have started with something that was more realistic for what the hardware was actually capable of doing. You know, it also didn't help that it started off in the DD, and then it changed to cartridge, so it's like, you got, like, all of these constant shifts. And, like, frankly, there's so many games that went 64 DD, then had to shift to cartridge, and then, but by the time it did that shift, you know, it was late in the game, and then they had to, like, shift it to GameCube. There's a ton of games like that. And then there's also a bunch of games that were, like, 64 DD, obviously that, you know, didn't make it big, like, shifted to, you know, regular cartridge, and then kind of were shifted to almost sort of like a D-make, a 2D D-make on Game Boy Advance. So, like, you see a lot of stuff that went, for, like, from the DD ultimately to Game Boy Advance, or from the DD ultimately to the GameCube. And then there's also a ton of stuff that went from the DD to just cancellation, but Mother 3 just happens to be one of those that was saved by the virtue of the Game Boy Advance, which I think we should be grateful for, but it just, you know, isn't necessarily our ideal scenario, I suppose. Which is kind of a spoiled thing to say. But, I mean, it is what it is, I suppose. To be honest, kind of bugs me that some of these channels that do nothing but brag about how much they bought have more views than channels like this that put out amazing stuff. Well, I appreciate that. I think that also, like, the stuff that we do here is a little more niche too, you know, so it's like, you know, the average gamer probably doesn't know anything about, like, what a beta is or whatever. So, like, you know, you gotta understand that, too. I mean, like, it's a real slow climb for Hard4Games. It's hard to get views, but, obviously, I appreciate you all being here, sharing the content, subbing, all that stuff. But, I mean, like, you know, it is, in a way, you could be like, oh, there's all these other people, like, I mean, there's people that started, like, way after me that also, right now have way more subs, but also their content is different, you know? So it's like, it's just, it is what it is, you know? Like, I could, like, complain and bitch and moan about having less subs than Joe Schmo YouTube, but at the end of the day, it's not gonna do me any good. Rather just be able to, like, do what I want to do, you know? Oh, you can't do like the lean back here to slow yourself down, or the lean forward. I'm pretty sure you could you lean forward in the retail version of the game. I know you could lean back and slow things down a bit. Oh God, oh Lord. I'm losing control of Mario. This is the end. This is the end times, people. Nice. What's up, Penguin? Hang on, let's get a close-ups here. Come here, you. Oh, he doesn't like it. Look at his face. So mad. Yeah, blue coins do not exist here. Oh yeah, Earthbound Dimensions does look kind of cool. Who knows what'll happen with that. No! How am I supposed to throw you? I don't think I can throw this penguin off. There's vents everywhere. Maybe I have to do that from the very top. What room was that? Was it this one? Yes. Okay. Out of the prototypes you discovered, what are your favorites or the ones that stick out the most? Well, there's some that I dumped, and then there's some that were dumped and then sent over to me. I don't know. That was a good question. There are a lot of really cool Game Boy, like, Advance ones that I really liked. They were, like, super different. Like, there was, like, a Pac-Man one that, like, had, like, placeholder enemy images that were literally just, like, scribbles. That I thought were kind of funny. There's Tonic Trouble for N64 that I dumped that was like vastly different than the retail build, so I thought that was like really cool. What else was there? Jeez, what if it kind of like runs together? Oh yeah, the Pokemon Center New York stuff was a real fun thing to dump. Viewpoint 2064 I didn't dump. Well, you know that, Mario Nova. But yes, covering that was really cool. What else? I don't know. Jeez. Like a whole like archive of stuff. That I dumped. Jeez, yeah, a lot of GameCube stuff that I've dumped was pretty cool, including like the Pokemon Center stuff. I think there's any more like N64 stuff. There's some SNES and Genesis stuff recently that wasn't like too big of names in terms of the titles. Yeah, I don't know. It's always just exciting to see what you're gonna get, honestly. I don't think I could throw this off because everything's surrounded by fence. Dinosaur Planet was easily your biggest find. I didn't find Dinosaur Planet. Someone else did. I would have loved to find Dinosaur Planet. I was aware of its existence, but it was not in my possession. There we go, we did it! Wait, he bounced back up. How did he do that? Come here. Come here, bastard. He'd rather kill himself than deal with me. Oh, he's coming back up. Sorry, I'm just reading the comments here for a second as Mario sleeps. Did you find the Spider-Man 4 prototype, or was that someone else? No, that was actually Gaming Legend 64, and then he was kind enough to allow me to be the first to cover it, which was like really cool. Because it was like, what, like Spider-Man 4, like as in the movie Spider-Man 4? So there's like some stuff, like with Gaming Legend 64, I used to, before he had like dumping equipment, I used to like dump his blue discs for him. And so like we created a relationship there, and he's a really nice guy. So like now, if there's some stuff like SNES and Genesis stuff he still doesn't have dumpers for, so I'll dump that stuff for him. And then also, I can't remember if he ever got Game Boy stuff or not, but I've definitely dumped Game Boy stuff for him in the past. But a lot of those he's gotten so into the scene now, like a lot of that stuff he can just dump himself. So he was able to preserve and back up all that stuff that was on the Wii for the Spider-Man 4 build. Yeah, so a lot of stuff I dump, which I'll normally mention at the beginning of the video, and then if I don't mention that and I say, oh, this was just like brought over by or dumped by so-and-so, which I know can be a little bit confusing because there's so many like usernames and stuff out there, but I definitely don't want to take credit for anything that I didn't dump or didn't find or whatever. Because that would be kind of what we call a dick move. Take credit for someone else's work. Let's see here. I'm gonna screw around in here. You know, the penguin is holding on for dear life. Do you know embarrassing it is to have a son? Cloudy Bear says, let me read this again. Cloudy Bear says, do you know embarrassing it is to have a son? What? Okay. Okie dokie. I'm not sure. Are you saying, do you know that it is embarrassing to have a son? I'm confused. What that comment means. Yeah, the GoldenEye 007 remaster was a really cool find. I'm glad that came out. That was fun to be able to cover that. Someone actually sent over an Xbox dev kit with that. Like they had like took the files like just keep sliding everywhere. Installed it on there so we could like play it. It was so cool. There's some really keep like trying to talk. I'm just falling off the face of the freaking platform. Anyways, I was gonna say there were some really nice people that go out of their way in this community, which is really, really just nice to see, you know. Yeah, there are a lot of things in here that are kind of cute. The HUD is more like 16-bit looking, like more like Super Mario World. You know, you got to keep in mind that they're coming off of that aesthetic. They hadn't like really fleshed out what the 3D Mario 64 aesthetic would be yet. So a lot of it borrows from sort of a, you know, cuter, cuddlier 16-bit time. So slippery. Oh, God. Okay, I think I'm done. Let's catch up on some comments here, and then we'll be done for the night. I think there's really nothing more to showcase in this mod. Pyro Gyro, or Gyro maybe, says, I always much prefer the sprites and sound effects for the coins over the retail version. The 64-bit time is not cute and cuddly. I think it's cute and cuddly, just sort of in a different way. I feel like the textures and characters in some cases are a little bit more cutesy and like 16-bit Mario World looking in the beta version. Let's back it up a little bit here. Dr. Biz. Hey, Tony, what's up, man? Love the channel. Cool to see you streaming. Thank you. I'm glad that I actually can. It's been like a hot minute. Did 2 videos last week. Not going to have a video this Saturday, but there will be a video the following Saturday, that Saturday that I've been working on. What's the date of that? Oh, actually, it'll probably be Friday the 1st. Actually, come to think of it, it'll come out. So no video this upcoming weekend, but the following weekend would be good. Will be good for a video. But I wanted to knock out some streaming just so you guys get a little something extra, because I've been weird with content lately. Kids been sick, that kind of stuff. So really like my cute Conquer Game Boy game. I want to play that at some point. I gotta like actually check that out. It's been like one of those obscure weird things, like the Conquer game before Conquer's Bad Fur Day, where he was like sort of a different character. A lot of the textures on Super Mario 64 are modified stock textures from commercial discs. Yep, and that's how they did the was it the Render 64 project, or where they used, it was like the Silicon graphics look, and they had like all the textures like crazy high resolution. I wish Rare didn't hate Conquer or Banjo so much. Yeah, I don't think they actively hate it. I think that Microsoft just feels like it's less bankable. I don't know. I'm not sure exactly what's going on here. Sleep Paralysis Gremlin says, here's a question for you, since I haven't seen an answer on it yet. Do you believe that Zelda was actually developed, or did it slowly morph into a Zelda Gaiden over time? I think that they probably did like a lot of experimentation with what could be possible with Zelda, but for the actual like retail release, they essentially just mainly planned on having dungeons to be replaced. Those are what like the DD hooks are, is primarily just different title screen, and like they're most easily swappable with dungeons. So I think by the time they got to that point, they knew that functionally what it was going to be is kind of going to be the Master Quest. And then I think that when they were trying to mess with that, wrap that up, I think it, yeah, did evolve into Zelda Gaiden, Majora's Mask, etc. I do think that they were like attempting different things and experimenting with different things, but I think by the time it got to like brass tacks and like dealing with Ocarina of Time in a retail capacity and actually getting that game done, the things had to be honed in a little bit. Let's see. Game Over Jesse is here. Hello. Tony, may I buy you a pizza? You gotta do it quick, because I'm actually gonna be done streaming in a minute. It's ironic that 2 prototype games made by Rare, Dinosaur Planet and GoldenEye XBLA, leaked mere 2 weeks from each other. Well, that just goes to show, I mean, you never know what's actually going to happen. You wake up one morning and then suddenly there's a Giga leak, or suddenly there's this or that or a release or what have you, you know, and it's like, you know, so it's like you might not know about anything on the horizon necessarily, but then suddenly something happens. And you're like, oh, wow, cool. we have this now. We check it out. We enjoy it, and then we move on. Cool. So I guess, you know, we played through this whole mod, been streaming for how long now? Hour and a half, hour 15, something like that. There's really not too much more to show. But if anyone has any other final questions, let me know. Love chatting with you guys, and then otherwise, we'll call it a night here. Wake up one morning, suddenly Ella's real becomes the real thing. That's true. I do have a pretty cool Zelda video coming up next weekend, so it'll be pretty tasty for all of you. All right, team. I guess I will let you go for now. Oh, hang on. Here's a question. Tony, are you going to play Resident Evil beta stuff? Is there Resident Evil beta stuff to play? What exactly are you referring to? I'm not super familiar with the Resident Evil franchise, but I'm curious. The Hylian Loach says, hey, Tony, remember that one guy's F64 with the old Zelda project like 10 years back? Yes, I do. He actually recently came out with a, like, more accurate Zelda Master Quest based on GigaLeak information where the rearranged dungeons had some differences, and so he took those and implemented them. So he actually did do a like an Zelda. Ultimately, strangely enough, came full circle and did an Zelda, but it wasn't a sort of you know, keep in mind that when he was doing his project, we knew a lot less about Zelda and what it was actually supposed to be. But a lot of his stuff was also just kind of turning into like a very wild fan project with just completely separate from what Zelda was, which is fine if that's what the project is going to be about. But I think it reached so high, especially for the time, and that's part of the reason why it just kind of ultimately didn't work out, of course. Resident Evil 1.5 is looking good. Nice for cancel. Did Resident Evil 1.5 just come out or something? I thought that had been out for a while in terms of like a dump. Unless I'm thinking of something else, maybe? Oh, okay. Well, it looks like there's a big dump of Resident Evil stuff that I missed here. Okay. All right. Not this, but next Friday, everybody. There'll be a video. It'll be later in the day, like nighttime. So really, maybe you'll catch it Friday evening or Saturday. And it'll be some Zelda beta mod stuff, which should be pretty fun for everybody. All right, guys. Have a good night. Take care. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time.